Hey, welcome to Berlin. Berlin, one of my most favorite cities in the world, but a city that has changed dramatically over the years.
Here, police hold down protesters fighting the far right.
In a knife attack at the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin is a 19-year-old refugee from Syria.
A short time after he was killed by police, this video right here was released of that suspect pledging allegiance to ISIS.
Don't touch me!
No, sorry.
Nein. Please touch me!
A city where people no longer really speak German, a city where English or Arabic is pretty much the main language if people are not speaking German.
Do you have to flee your country? You might be thinking about coming to Germany.
I'm in a little district called Bundesstraße, which has changed dramatically in recent years. We've got everything from, well, what have we got here? We've got fresh fruit, massive melons. You can't really go wrong with the melons.
Make up your melons!
We've got the crazy flags here on the balconies, pushing the message.
Buried within the message itself is the key to decoding it.
And we are reacting to the fact that this year Germans went to elections. East Germany tended to vote in favour of the AfD. The AfD wanting to conserve their country, wanting to bring their borders back to controlled migration, and the other parties not wanting to do that. The Conservatives by name only, the day they were elected, said they're not closing the borders.
Markus Söder muss einfach mal erklären, warum über Jahre hinweg nicht gehandelt hat und warum dieser Mann überhaupt noch in unserem Land ist. Und zur Wahrheit gehört eben auch dazu, dass das Außenministerium unter der Führung der Grünen Annalena Baerbock weiter Afghanen nach Deutschland einfliegen lässt, Visa ausstellt. Obwohl die Afghanen eine Personengruppe sind mit der höchsten Kriminalität.
Berlin is very much on the left side of things. It was almost the only exception on the East German map that didn't vote AfD. Communists were voted for, liberals were voted for, Greens were voted for, but the AfD didn't do so well in Berlin. And I think it's to do with the dramatically changing demographics and the fact that I only have to walk around here and I see there's not many Germans around here. There are some. It's a little bit like Tower Hamlets in London. It's a little bit like Edgware Road in London. The natives are a minority. I stayed in this district for one night because I like to move around when I'm in Berlin. Later today I'll be in a hotel for another 3 nights elsewhere. But here next to the station, I stayed in a hotel just down here. Now I thought it was just a normal hotel. I let this guy pass all the music.
Street noise.
Now I thought it was just a normal hotel until I went to the 5th floor and realized things weren't quite as they seemed. I took a turning thinking I was heading towards my room, thinking my room was 502, but it turns out my room was S502. It turns out the hotel is segregated into green carpets and red carpets. The green carpets where paying customers will pay for. The red carpets being those who are being financed by the state, those new arrivals. All night I heard children playing in corridors, scuffles. It was not what you would imagine. I think it's shocking in the fact that there's a demographic replacement going on in Germany. So it's not just happening in the United Kingdom and Ireland, it's happening in Germany as well. I know it's happening all over. It's happening everywhere. We're going to have a look in the hotel. I'm going to show you what I mean.
I thought I'd booked a cheap last-minute hotel in Berlin. Nothing fancy, just a place to rest my head for the night. But as it turns out, I wasn't just staying in a hotel, I was staying in a state-funded holding facility for migrants, one of hundreds across Germany. And it wasn't until I got accosted by a security guard for straying down the wrong corridor and just the constant noise of disturbance during the night, it is then that I decided to dig deeper and I realized this is what Berlin and Europe has become. When I arrived at the hotel, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. A few families, some solo travelers, your standard reception area. My room was on the 5th floor. I later learned the first 5 floors were for tourists and travelers like me, but the upper floors, 6 and 7, and even parts of my own floor were designated for the housing of illegal migrants. Quietly, without signage and without public notice. But it was when I decided to take a wrong turn, because I wasn't sure which way my room was, did I get accosted by a security guard, demanding to know why I was in this corridor as opposed to the corridor only meters away. At the time, I thought that was a bit strange, but I thought nothing of it. It was when I then started to notice all of the buggies, the shouting, the screaming, shouting in the hallways at 2 a.m. did my ears prick up, and I realized this wasn't your normal hotel. The security guards weren't for my safety, but they would keep guests from wandering into the wrong part of the building, or maybe from causing too much disturbance to the paying guests, but certainly not my safety.
So nothing to be worried about?
No, there's a man that is for security reasons, yeah? So
Okay.
it's in the 5th, 6th and 7th floor, just to make sure that everything's good because it's a big house. But I think we are talking about the same person.
Why is it just 5, 6 and 7?
Because it's our high sport and we don't have a look on the all floors here.
What do you mean, no cameras or?
Yes, we have cameras, but we cannot have a look on all the levels. Because in 6, 7, and 8, oftentimes when something happens,
Yeah.
it happens upstairs because we don't have a look on it and we don't hear much about it. So
Well, what could happen?
I don't know. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes from this, what is it called? Emergency
Fire alarm. Yeah.
Things and like this just come up, and then he has to look on it. But I think this is about the same.
Okay, so I just concerned because
No,
I walked out of my room twice and he's just like there the whole time, and this seems a bit. Plus he was like.
If he's dressed in black and he has like Arab features and he
Yeah, he was like blue outfit, but yeah. Okay, is it because you got special people staying here? I thought you had the ITV people.
Also this, but because it's kind of 6, 7, and 8, 5, 6, 7. He's more on the 6th and 7th floor because if.
Well, I was on the 5. I didn't go up to 6 or 7. He was
Yeah,
there.
sometimes he also comes to the 5th floor.
Okay.
Not all the time, but sometimes.
Right. So nothing to worry about.
No, nothing.
No. Okay. Okay.
Here's the thing, Germany didn't vote for this. The German people, like most of Europe, were never asked if they wanted their hotels, towns and cities turned into state-funded holding centres, but it happened anyway. In 2023, over 300,000 asylum seekers arrived in Germany. The system couldn't handle it, so the government did what it always does. They outsourced the crisis to the taxpayer. For example, in Cologne, the city had to spend 70 million of its own budget just to house migrants in hotels and shelters because federal funds didn't come close. In Duisburg, they spent over 6 million in 2023 alone to house just over 300 migrants in hotel rooms. That's 19,000 per head per year. Now ask yourself, what could that money have done for schools, for pensions, for Berlin's homeless citizens? Now, I'm not here to demonize the migrants themselves. I'm here to criticize the German government, the European politicians who are attached to the European Union, as well as my own country. My country is just as guilty at doing this. But I wanted to show my British audience and my American audience that this problem is rife throughout Europe. And European nations are changing beyond recognition because of it. The migrants in this hotel, by the looks of it, because of the numbers of pushchairs, were most likely women and children. Noisy, but they were waiting. But that's just it, they're waiting. Not working, not integrating, just sitting in hotel rooms paid for by a system that's cracking at the seams. Hotels are not designed to be holding pens. And yet, that's what they've become all across Germany, all across Western Europe, and all across the United Kingdom. However, the German public are waking up. A disproportionate of crimes are linked to the recent migrant waves, according to Germany's own statistics. Assaults, theft, sexual offences, all rising. And while the corrupt mainstream media scrambles to sanitize the data on behalf of the corrupt governments that govern over the European people, For locals, for taxpayers who are on the ground, they know this changing demographics tells a very different story. You cannot import cultures of thousands of unvetted people from war-torn or authoritarian societies into liberal democracies and expect no consequences. Back in my room, I tried to sleep, but all night there were noises, children crying, doors banging, heated conversations in Arabic, Somali, Dari. If I was a woman, maybe I would feel less safe. I felt safe, I had a lock on my door, but I didn't feel like I was in a hotel in Berlin either. I felt like a tourist on the edge of a system nobody wants to talk about. Germany spent 48 billion euros in 2023 on refugee-related costs, more than its entire defense budget. God knows what it spent in 2024 and 2025. Meanwhile, police departments are understaffed, hospitals are overwhelmed, and rents in Berlin and cities across Germany and Western Europe are skyrocketing. The native citizens are being displaced. The young can't get on the housing ladder. The young can't afford rents. The children can't get school places. The old can't get hospital places. Germany, like the rest of Europe, is changing beyond recognition. The character of Berlin, once diverse, creative, chaotic, is slowly being overwritten by a quiet bureaucracy of dependency. Hotels once used for tourists are now de facto state shelters, and the local taxpayer is footing the bill without consent, and often without knowledge. There are no signs, no announcements, just your city, your services, your culture quietly being restructured by our corrupt administration departments in every layer of government. I genuinely didn't intend to stay in a migrant hotel, but I did, and now I've seen the system from the inside. This isn't a conspiracy, it's just how the system works. No one dares to question it, but any regular viewer who knows my channel knows I will. If you think this story needs to be heard, share it. If you've seen something similar, leave a comment, because the more people stay silent, the faster Europe forgets what it was built to be, and the faster we lose our culture, our heritage, and everything our ancestors built.
Yeah, a little bit noisy this morning. A lot of kids running in corridors, but is that normal? Yeah, but it was like there was a lot of kids. Do you normally have that many mothers staying in the hotel?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes?
Yeah.
There's pushchairs everywhere. You got like a mothers convention? No?
No.
Just happens today. Yeah. There's lots of mothers, yeah? Are they here for a long time or?
Yeah.
They are?
Yeah.
They are, okay. How many do you have in the hotel?
How many rooms are?
Well, I think on the website you should tell guests that, by the way, half the hotel is paid for by the taxpayer.
I don't really know.
But do you not think it's a good idea to mention this in the hotel? So, like, by the way, you're going to have kids running around in the corridors.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
It should be mentioned, no?
Yeah.
So this hotel is featuring. No, normally a hotel says it's got a swimming pool. No, this hotel's like got.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah? Feedback to management there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, mate. Cheers. Bye. So just checked out of the hotel. I don't think it's unreasonable to be told when you check into a hotel that you will be staying with effectively migrants who aren't paying their bill. Migrants who effectively get 3 meals a day and they get to put their food into the bins in the corridors and their kids get to run around the hotel causing a huge disturbance. I think it would probably be appropriate if the tourist or the business traveller or you name it are told that that's who they're sharing the hotel with. There's no sign that that is what's going on. But anyway, just a little insight into the fact that this is happening in every Western city. The hard-working taxpayers are being taken advantage of. Anyway, until next time, keep progressing.